The current headlines point to a global economy under immense strain. National debts are soaring into the trillions, inflation is squeezing the daily cost of living, and recession fears have become a constant background noise. Billionaire investor Ray Dalio analyzed centuries of historical data and concluded that nations go broke according to a predictable, mechanical trajectory. This chart shows what most of us experience in our lifetimes: the short-term debt cycle. Every 5 to 8 years, we see a familiar pattern. Interest rates fall, the economy hits a period of growth, and then rates rise, triggering a cooldown. But those familiar 5 to 8 year fluctuations are hiding something much larger. When we zoom out, we can see those small waves are actually rippling upward along a massive long-term debt cycle, one that spans 50 to 100 years. Because a single cycle takes longer than a human lifespan, no one alive remembers what the end of the last one felt like. We mistake the mathematical end of a century-long wave for random, inexplicable ruin. Every big cycle starts the same way. Following a major historical conflict, a new world order is established. The slate is wiped clean, and the leading nation begins with very low levels of national debt. At this stage, taking on debt is highly productive. The government and its citizens borrow money to build tangible, wealth-generating infrastructure, like power grids, massive factories, and comprehensive school systems. We can see this clearly in the United States right after World War II. The country leveraged its low debt to build out physical supply chains and heavy industry, rapidly transforming into a global manufacturing powerhouse. This era of intense production creates a booming middle class and widespread economic stability. As a result, the rest of the world begins to trust and adopt the nation's currency as the dominant global standard. In these early decades, borrowing works exactly as it should. It acts as a healthy engine for building a nation's true foundation, because every dollar of debt is strictly tied to real-world, physical production. But eventually, a generational shift occurs. People who have only ever known prosperity become complacent. Instead of borrowing to build factories or rail lines, they start taking on heavy debt simply to speculate. This chart shows the anatomy of a financial bubble. The steady line represents the fundamental value of the economy, but watch the second line. People borrow massive amounts of money just to buy assets like stocks or real estate, hoping to sell them at a higher price later. The price completely disconnects from the actual value. While the numbers on the screen go up, the real-world consequences are severe. Extreme wealth inequality opens up between those who own the skyrocketing assets and those who don't. This economic divide breeds deep political polarization and internal societal conflict. Eventually, the math catches up. The total debt burden grows so large that the income generated by the economy can no longer cover the interest payments. The structure can't support its own weight, and the bubble implodes. During short-term cycles, central banks just lower interest rates to stimulate the economy. But at the end of a long-term cycle, interest rates have already hit zero. Stripped of their main tool, the government is left with only one desperate option: printing massive amounts of new money. The tragic irony of the big cycle is that the very mechanisms of prolonged economic success inevitably breed the speculative greed and systemic vulnerabilities that tear the system apart. If we look back at our 100-year chart, the historical indicators place us right here, deep into the final, highly volatile stages of a long-term debt cycle. The steep downward crash is underway. Governments face a brutal paradox when trying to fix this late-stage machine. They have to choose between forcing painful debt defaults, devaluing currency by printing cash, or attempting aggressive wealth redistribution. None of these paths are smooth. Each of these policy choices guarantees severe economic friction and widespread social unrest in the near term. This level of structural awareness changes how you react to market shifts. It offers the same kind of preparation as weatherproofing a house before the first frost hits. Modern paper currencies and global empires may be fragile, but the mathematical mechanics of the economic cycle are permanent and unbending. Recognizing your position in the big cycle provides the clarity needed to protect your assets and prepare for the economic transition that follows a reset.